everyone. I'm Kay Osborne, and I'm going to be your instructor for Accounting 210. This is a follow-up class to Accounting 209. Accounting 209 was a financial accounting class, and this is a managerial accounting class. Much of what you learned in Accounting 209 is going to carry over. When we talk about Accounting 209, we talk about recording what has happened in the past and disseminating that information to users via financial statements. In this class, we're going to talk about planning for the future. We're going to cover 3 units. The first one is going to be about planning for costs. The second one is going to be about budgeting. And the third part is we're going to go back to those financial statements we talked about and adding an additional financial statement, which is called the cash flow statement. This is a little different in that it's not a test-heavy class. We do some assessments, but they're projects as opposed to tests. So there's not quite the same amount of memorization as there was in Accounting 209. And I think you'll find that the topics are interesting and the work we do in here is real life. So you can actually connect it to Legos or nuts and bolts or actually something that's being done or produced. So let's get started. I'm going to start out by talking about the Prologue Chapter, which is the chapter before Chapter 1. This class, you will need to watch the videos before you come to class. They will always be posted for you. They'll be ready. And of course, they'll be charming and entertaining. They won't be long. I'm going to try to keep the videos to 15 or 20 minutes. It's really good for you if you are able to watch them on your own. This is a blended class, so we only have about an hour and 20 minutes in class each week, and I find that time spent better working on your projects, doing homework, where you can ask questions. You can listen to me lecture anytime. I encourage you to download Moodle on your phone, so whenever you're stuck in traffic or you have a few boring minutes, you can listen to the lectures from this class. Plus, you can listen to them over and over again if you want to. I want to make sure you know that I'm always available to answer questions. Monday through Friday, 8 in the morning till 10 at night. Please don't call me after 10 o'clock at night. But other than that, I'm available to help you. You can call, text, or email me. I prefer if you email me through the Moodle website. Then we have a history of the conversations that have gone on between us. But if you're in a tight spot or you have no other way, feel free to use my cell number and call me or text me. That number is black isn't going to show up at all. I'm going to have to use one of these bright markers. As you'll be able to tell from this video, I teach just like I record. I just start talking and ramble on for a while, sometimes chase a few squirrels as we're going. So my phone number, isn't that a wonderful sound, is 417-849-7679. Please don't ever hesitate to call or contact me if you need information. And don't worry about things. I've had students who said, I worried about this all weekend, but I didn't want to call you. Email me, text me. I try to get back within 24 hours, unless I've told you I'm going to be out of town or something. And if I haven't responded within 24 hours, you might email me again because either the email's lost or got deleted. But you are never bothering me, so don't ever worry about that. All right, let me email or erase this scratchy sounding phone number, and we're going to get started. So the prologue really just talks about the difference between financial accounting and managerial accounting. Let me see if I can figure out how to get my PowerPoint back. Well, there we go. And here I am ghosting behind it. I've got to figure out how to fix that so I'm not behind the PowerPoint, and I will. So here's the difference between financial accounting and managerial accounting. The users. Financial accounting, the financial statements are really issued for the external users. We talked about internal users and external users. External users are the IRS, creditors, vendors, all those people who are outside the company. Managerial accounting are for the people who are inside the company, who make decisions, who plan and organize what goes on within the organization. The time focus. I was just talking earlier that in financial accounting, we record what's already happened. The financial statements are for last year or for last month. Well, in managerial accounting, we're looking to the future. We're planning on what's going to happen and putting together the numbers for that. Verifiability versus relevance. In financial accounting, the emphasis is on being objective, that it's not swayed in any directions, it's just the facts, and that it's verifiable. In managerial accounting, we're looking at what's relevant in the future. We're making decisions. We are making forecasts. I mean, they may be really well-educated forecasts, but we're making forecasts about the future. Financial accounting is about precision. Everything has to be just perfect. Managerial accounting is about timeliness, the time frame in which it's going to happen. Financial accounting is about company-wide reports. How is the whole company doing? Total income, total expenses. Managerial accounting focuses on different divisions and different departments, different segments. There may be manufacturing, there may be selling, and those aren't all put into one report. They come out as separate reports for those separate departments. Financial accounting is governed by GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. There's rules you have to follow. And I know you heard me say often in Accounting 209, or your teacher should have said, this is a generally accepted accounting principle. You can decide between this and this, but once you decide between this and this, you have to follow the rules that go with that. Managerial accounting is all internal. You're not bound by any outside force. It's for your internal users. You don't have to follow anybody's rules except your own company's and your own supervisors. And requirements. Financial accounting, man, especially if you're a publicly traded company, you're expected to issue those external reports on a regular basis. And on the managerial side, it's not mandatory. No outside force tells you you have to do that. It's the inside company. It's that planning for the inside company that make them so important. So, many of you are not going to be accountants. You're not going to be accountants. You're going to be accountants. You're not going to be. You're going to be managers. You're going to be process managers. You're going to be marketing managers. You're going to be human resource managers. And as we talk about that, we're going to talk about different reasons that these financial reports, the budgeting reports, the cost reports, are going to be important to you in your specific job. If you're a manager, you plan, control, and make decisions. Well, with planning, you have to establish some goals. Well, how can you do that without not planning on what the income is going to be? You figure out how those goals are going to be achieved. And you can't do that very well unless you've developed these budgets and these work plans for how that's going to be done. So although the financial reports are very, very important for managers to look at historical data, those managers, their job is to plan for the future. So that's why these managerial reports become so important. Controlling, we've talked about this before. We've talked about it in accounting or in Management 103, that the job of managers is to plan, control, and make decisions. So when you look at these internal performance reports, you can control things. You can make changes for the future. So it's really important that you have those numbers in front of you so you know the historical data from the financial information, but you're also looking at the managerial data and decision making. It's all based on numbers. That's what business is about, is making money. And if you're not planning and deciding to make money, deciding how to make the money, then the company can't make money. Also, most often, unless you're the business owner, you are managing someone else's money. So they have an expectation that you put this information together and that you put accurate information together. If you're a marketing major, you're probably more creative. You're probably wanting to do some advertising. How do you do that if you don't have good financial numbers? How do you hire salespeople? How do you print Material. How much does it cost you to get each customer? If any of you watch Shark Tank, you should be watching Shark Tank because they talk about customer acquisition cost. Well, if you haven't put these numbers down on paper and planned for it, you don't know what your customer acquisition costs are. Controlling for marketing majors. Inventory control is part of marketing. You talk about how much you're going to need to sell. Do you have too much inventory? Do you not have enough inventory? It just becomes real important. Do you buy more advertising? Do you buy less advertising? What's budgeted for advertising? Where do you get the best bang for your buck? And decision making. How do we sell our services? Do I sell a bicycle tire or do I sell a bicycle tire and a wheel? How do you make those decisions? Do we sell directly to the customer? Do we sell online? Do we have a storefront? Do we sell distributors? Do we sell to Walmart? How do you make those decisions as a marketing manager if you don't have the correct numbers? Supply chain. Those people who are seeing that everything goes from raw product all the way to the shelves of the stores. They have no way to plan things if they don't have numbers, if they don't know how much their budgets are, if they don't know how much each little thing is going to cost along the way. They don't know how many people to hire. They don't know how big of a plant to have. So that becomes really important. Then they have to look, do we spend more or less? What is our profit margin? How much did we make on each piece? And should they outsource some processes? Should they insource more? Should they hire trucking companies? Should they have their own trucks? I just read a really interesting piece of information about Ashley Furniture Stores and their trucking. How they have all their own trucks and all their own truck drivers, and how they've not only made that their delivery process to the store, but they also have made that part of their process to their on-time delivery, the professionalism of their truck drivers. So as you're looking at these decisions, there's big decisions to make, and it's not always about cost. Sometimes it's about delivery, or about the quality of the delivery and the quality of the marketing that you're sending out to the folks who buy from you. And human resources. Some of you may be human resources managers. So now we've talked about management, marketing people, supply chain, and now human resource management. How much do you spend on training? How do you know? Are there new laws in place that require that you have different kind of training? How much do you spend on recruitment? You can't know what you can spend if you haven't planned on what you're going to spend. Someone just said to me this morning, failure to plan is a plan to fail. So you always have to have these plans in place and follow them. Controlling, I never think about this because I don't think about employee retention as being part of the process of accounting, because I don't do human resources, but it is very expensive to advertise for, interview, train. So retaining your employees is very, very important. Are you meeting these goals? Are you completing timely performance appraisals? Are you treating your employees right? Are your benefits the best they can be? Are you all things that come from knowing how much the dollars cost? I think this decision-making example was such a good one. Should we hire an on-site medical staff to lower our healthcare costs? It's something that many, many major corporations are doing now. Drury has the Panther Clinic on the main campus, and students or faculty and staff can walk in and see a nurse practitioner. It doesn't cost anything, and often it keeps your employees at work if they just have an earache or a headache or a cold, and they just need to run in and get some medication. They're not sick enough to stay home. In the past, your employees would have to leave work, drive, get an appointment, wait for the appointment, get into the doctor, and now they can just walk 5 minutes across campus, see the nurse practitioner, get a prescription, and be right back at work in 10 minutes. So it's important. Should companies hire temporary or full-time employees? That's a big, big decision-making process because full-time employees always have full-time benefits and vacation and insurance. And temporary workers normally do not. Temporary workers usually make less money, but they're not as well trained. So it's all about the decision making and the way that dollars and numbers help your employees make those decisions. All right, accounting majors. Let's talk about those people who do want to be accounting majors. The IMA, the Institute of Managerial Accounting, estimates that more than 80% of professional accountants in the U.S. work in non-public accounting environments. That's me. I'm one of those. I am an accountant, but I work in a non-public accounting environment, and I never had any desire to work in a public accounting environment. Employers, though, expect accounting majors to have strong financial skills. You're also expected to be strong in planning, controlling, and decision-making. And that is the main job of a managerial accounting. So we've talked about CPA, Certified Public Accountant, in Accounting 209. In this class, we're going to talk about a CMA, a Certified Managerial Accountant. And here's what you got to do. You have to have membership in IMA. You have to have a bachelor's degree, 2 years of experience, and pass the CMA exam. Now, both the CPA exam and the CMA exam are difficult. They're meant to be difficult. You have to have a lot of knowledge to do well on them and to pass them. With the CPA exam, you have to have 150 hours of college credit. With the CMA, you only have to have a bachelor's degree. But there also are really good companies that will help you study for these two exams. So if any of you are thinking about looking at managerial accounting as opposed to public accounting, it's a great job. Especially in small towns where we all tend to live, I'm going to talk about Monette specifically because that's where the bulk of you are from. You have all these great manufacturing organizations, businesses that hire managerial accountants to keep track of their information. They're an internal accountant, and it's a great job. They pay well, and there's a lot of expectation that you do a good job in these jobs. So the CMA exam has two parts. The financial reporting, planning, performance, and control, and the second part is financial decision making. Like I said, there's a lot of really good study guides, tests that will help you if you decided you wanted to sit for a CMA exam. And it's probably a good choice for some people who don't necessarily want to go into public accountant, who don't want to do taxes and auditing, but know that they're really good with numbers, is to become a managerial accountant. So the primary purpose of this course is to teach measurement skills that managers use in planning, controlling, and decision making. How do you prepare a financial plan for next year? Well, you start out by looking at historical data, and then you start making educated, I'm going to use the word guesses, although guess is not the right word, educated decisions, and you plan. I'm going to give you an example that makes perfect sense to me, and I hope it does to you too. If I am a manager of a company, and last year let's say we make tennis shoes, and last year we only worked to 70% of our plant's capacity, and we always had shoes on back order because we couldn't make them fast enough. So we can take last year's historical data and say we made 7,000 pairs of tennis shoes, but our plant will let us make 10,000 pairs. So if we increase by 3,000, how much more money will we make? Or will we lose money? So those are the kind of decisions you have to make, and you have to run different scenarios, and so that's how you make those decisions. I'm not going to go through all these perspectives with you, but they're important for you to read. We talk about the ethics perspective. You guys know how I feel about being ethical students, professionals. So that's important. Confidentiality always when you're working with the company's numbers, their information, their employees. That confidentiality is of utmost importance. Integrity, well, it's what every business person should be. They should have just the highest level morals beyond reproach, and abstain from activities that discredit the profession or your job or yourself or your family. Credibility, your numbers have got to be right. And why do we have these ethical standards? Because ethical standards are essential for a smooth functioning economy. All of us should be able to depend on good jobs, good services, good paychecks, what we need to support our family. And if we drop those ethical standards and it becomes a free-for-all, then everything's going to become more expensive and less accessible. So the strategic management perspective, which is the last thing I'm going to talk about, strategy just means it's a game plan. What are we going to plan? Are we going to plan for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years? In this course, we're going to look at 1 year planning, but strategic planning actually means more than 1 year in the long term. So the next thing I'm going to tell you is that you need to have a minimal working understanding of Excel. I am going to post a PowerPoint, not one, or a video, not one that I have made, but there's some pretty good, just 20-minute tutorial videos on Excel on YouTube. So I'm going to post one of those. Really, all we're going to do is add and subtract columns, put in a few ratios. So it's nothing that is really difficult, but you must have a simple working knowledge of Excel to do well in this class. So that's it for today. It's really just a lot of general information from the prologue. I would ask that you read the entire prologue before our first class. And that's about it. Please be sure to contact me if you have any information, and I'll see you in class.